People have been trying to control their dreams for thousands of years. This is not some new age thing. This is not something that started in the 1970s, when scientists first proved lucid dreaming was real. Ancient cultures on every continent figured out how to become aware inside their dreams and use that awareness for healing, for spiritual growth, and for getting answers to life's biggest questions. In this video, we are going to look at 20 different lucid dreaming practices from ancient cultures around the world. These ancient dreamers were not foolish or superstitious. They were careful observers of human experience. They noticed that dreams sometimes predicted the future. They noticed that dreams could reveal hidden truths. They noticed that people who paid attention to their dreams seemed to live better lives. They built their practices on these observations. Let's begin. 1. Tibetan Dream Yoga Milam. Tibetan Dream Yoga might be the most complete system of lucid dreaming ever developed. The Tibetans call it Milam, which means dream state. This practice is over 1,000 years old and is part of the 6 yogas of Naropa, a set of advanced spiritual practices that were passed down from teacher to student for centuries. The goal of Tibetan Dream Yoga is not entertainment. The goal is to wake up, not just in the dream, but in life. The Tibetans teach that waking life and dream life are both illusions. When you learn to recognize that you are dreaming while you are dreaming, you start to see that everything is like a dream. This realization is supposed to lead to enlightenment. The practice works like this. During the day, you constantly remind yourself that you are dreaming. You look at your hands. You look at your surroundings. You ask yourself if this is a dream. You do this so many times that the habit carries over into actual sleep. Eventually, you will ask yourself the same question while you are dreaming, and you will realize that yes, you are actually dreaming. Once you are lucid in the dream, the Tibetan tradition says you should do specific things. You should transform objects. You should multiply them. You should shrink them or make them grow. You should travel to different realms. You should practice meditation inside the dream. The point of all this is to prove to yourself that reality is flexible and that your mind creates your experience. The Tibetans also teach something called sleep yoga, which goes even deeper. This is where you try to stay conscious as you fall asleep and as you move through dreamless deep sleep. Very few people can do this. Those who can report experiencing a state of pure awareness with no content at all. The Tibetans call this the clear light. The lineage of this teaching goes back to Naropa, an Indian master who lived around 1000 CE. He learned it from his teacher, Tilikpa. The practice was brought to Tibet by Marpa, the translator, and passed to Milarepa, one of the most famous figures in Tibetan Buddhism. Some Dzogchen lineages claim their dream yoga practices go back even further, possibly 3,000 years or more. What makes Tibetan dream yoga special is its systematic approach. It is not just about having interesting experiences in dreams. It is about using dreams as a training ground for maintaining awareness in all states of consciousness, including the state between death and rebirth, called the bardo. The Tibetans believe that if you can stay conscious in your dreams, you have a better chance of staying conscious when you die. The traditional practice begins with recognizing the dream state. Then you transform the dream content. Then you overcome fear by doing things in the dream that would be dangerous in waking life, like jumping into fire or off cliffs. Then you meditate on emptiness within the dream. Finally, you dissolve the dream entirely and rest in pure awareness. These stages represent increasing levels of control and understanding. Each stage prepares you for the next. By the time you reach the final stage, you have learned that all experiences, whether in dreams or waking life, are projections of the mind. 2. Hindu Yoga Nidra. Before there was Tibetan dream yoga, there was Yoga Nidra. This practice comes from India and is mentioned in the Upanishads, ancient Hindu texts that may have been written as early as 1000 BCE. Some scholars think these teachings go back even further. Yoga Nidra means yogic sleep, but this is not ordinary sleep. This is conscious sleep. The practitioner tries to remain aware while the body falls asleep. The goal is to reach a state where you are aware of both the dream world inside your mind and your physical body lying still on the bed. The Mandukya Upanishad talks about 4 states of consciousness. The first is waking, the second is dreaming, the third is deep dreamless sleep, the fourth is called Turiya, which means the fourth in Sanskrit. This fourth state is pure consciousness itself. It is the awareness that watches all the other states come and go. Yoga Nidra is a way to touch this fourth state. The practitioner lies down in a specific position called Shavasana, the corpse pose. They then follow a series of mental exercises designed to keep the mind awake while the body relaxes into sleep. These exercises might include rotating awareness through different parts of the body, visualizing specific images, or repeating a personal intention called a sankalpa. When done correctly, the practitioner enters a state between waking and sleeping. They can watch dreams form. They can observe thoughts arising and passing away. They can rest in a space of deep peace while remaining completely alert. This practice has influenced everything that came after it. The Tibetan dream yoga practices almost certainly grew out of earlier Hindu traditions. Even modern lucid dreaming techniques, like wake-initiated lucid dreams, show clear connections to what the Hindu yogis figured out thousands of years ago. The science behind Yoga Nidra is now being studied by researchers. Brain scans of experienced practitioners show patterns that are different from both ordinary sleep and ordinary wakefulness. There is some evidence that the brain can enter a hybrid state where aspects of both sleep and waking are present at the same time. This is exactly what the ancient yogis described. The systematic approach of Yoga Nidra involves a specific sequence of practices. You start by setting an intention or sankalpa. Then you rotate awareness through the body, paying attention to each part in turn. Then you become aware of the breath. Then you experience pairs of opposites, like hot and cold, heavy and light. Then you visualize specific images. Throughout this process, you try to remain aware while the body falls deeper into relaxation. Many people who practice yoga nidra report experiences that seem impossible according to our normal understanding of sleep. They can hear sounds in the room. They can sense what is happening around them. Yet at the same time, they are deeply rested and may even have dream experiences. This state between waking and sleeping is the gateway to conscious dreaming. 3. Ancient Egyptian dream temples. The ancient Egyptians took dreams very seriously. They believed that the soul, which they called the Ba, could leave the body during sleep and travel to other realms. They represented the Ba as a bird with a human head, floating above the sleeping body. The Egyptians built special temples dedicated to dreaming. These were called sleep temples or dream temples. People who were sick or who needed guidance would travel to these temples to receive healing dreams. The practice was called incubation, which means to lie upon. The process was not simple. You could not just show up at the temple and go to sleep. First, you had to prepare. This meant fasting. This meant cleansing rituals. This meant prayers and offerings to the gods. Only after you had purified yourself were you allowed to enter the sacred sleeping chamber. The god most associated with healing dreams was Imhotep. He was originally a real person who served as chancellor and high priest around 2650 BCE after his death. He was worshipped as a god of medicine and wisdom. People would travel great distances to sleep in temples dedicated to him, hoping he would visit them in their dreams and cure their illnesses. The temple priests played an important role. They would help interpret the dreams that people received. They had special training in dream symbolism. They used dream books that listed common dream images and their meanings. One such dream book has survived and dates to around 1275 BCE, during the reign of Ramesses II. The Egyptians also believed that some dreams came from the gods, while others came from demons. Good dreams came from divine sources. Bad dreams came from dark spirits. The priests knew rituals to protect sleepers from nightmares and to encourage healing visions. This practice lasted for thousands of years in Egypt. It eventually influenced the Greeks, who built their own healing dream temples dedicated to the god Asclepius. The Egyptian dream book that survives in the British Museum gives us a window into how the Egyptians thought about dreams. It lists over 100 different dream scenarios with their interpretations. Good dreams were written in black ink. Bad dreams were written in red ink. The interpretations often used wordplay. If a word in the dream sounded like another word, that connection was considered meaningful. The Egyptians believed strongly in the power of intention to shape dreams. Before sleeping in a temple, people would write the name of the god they wanted to contact on a piece of linen. They would burn this linen while reciting prayers. This ritual was designed to focus the mind and attract the attention of the deity. Some dreams were considered so important that they changed history. Pharaoh Thutmose IV claimed that the Sphinx appeared to him in a dream when he was just a prince. The Sphinx promised that if Thutmose cleared away the sand that was burying it, he would become king. Thutmose did as the dream instructed, and he did become king. He commemorated this event with a stone tablet placed between the paws of the Sphinx, where it can still be seen today. The god base was a protector against nightmares. Images of this dwarf god with his fierce expression were placed in bedrooms to scare away evil spirits. Pregnant women and children were especially protected by Base. His job was to ensure peaceful sleep and pleasant dreams. 4. Greek dream incubation at Asclepius temples. The ancient Greeks inherited the practice of dream incubation from Egypt and made it their own. They built healing sanctuaries called Asclepia throughout the Greek world. These temples were dedicated to Asclepius, the god of medicine and healing. The most famous of these temples was at Epidaurus. It was so important that it was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1988. But there were over 300 Asclepia scattered across the ancient Mediterranean. People traveled hundreds of miles to reach them. The process was elaborate. When you arrived at the temple, you first had to undergo purification. This meant bathing in sacred spring water. This meant fasting. This meant making sacrifices to the gods. You might spend days preparing before you were finally allowed to sleep in the abaton, the sacred sleeping chamber. The night of incubation was the climax of your visit. You would lie down on a special bed called a klein, from which we get the word clinic. You would set your intention to receive a healing dream from Asclepius. The temple had non-venomous snakes that would slither freely through the sleeping chambers. These snakes were sacred to Asclepius and were believed to whisper healing dreams into the ears of sleepers. If you were lucky, you would receive a divine dream. Sometimes Asclepius himself would appear and heal you directly in the dream. Sometimes he would give you instructions for treatment that you would follow after waking. Sometimes the dream would need interpretation by the temple priests. Stone tablets from Epidaurus record dozens of miraculous cures. People came with blindness, paralysis, chronic pain, and infertility. Many left claiming to be healed. The tablets describe these cures in detail, serving as both records and advertisements for the temple's power. The famous physician Hippocrates received his early training at an Asclepian on the island of Kos, Galen. Personal physician to the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, studied at the Asclepian in Pergamon. The connection between dream temples and the birth of Western medicine is clear. The philosopher Aristotle wrote about awareness in dreams around 350 BCE. He observed that when a person is asleep, there is something in consciousness that tells them what they are experiencing is just a dream. This is one of the earliest written descriptions of lucid dreaming in the Western tradition. The Greeks understood that not all dreams were the same. In Homer's Odyssey, dreams are said to pass through to gates. True dreams pass through the gate of horn. False dreams pass through the gate of ivory. Learning to tell the difference between meaningful dreams and meaningless dreams was an important skill. The practice of incubation was not limited to healing. People also sought dreams for guidance in business, politics, and personal matters. Before making an important decision, a person might travel to a temple and sleep there, hoping to receive divine advice about which choice to make. The Asclepion at Pergamon was one of the most elaborate. It had a large covered square with elegant columns, a theatre, a library, latrines, bathing facilities, and multiple fountains. The whole complex was designed to create an environment conducive to healing. Patients would spend days there, following a healthy regimen before their night of dream incubation. A man named Aelius Aristides left detailed records of his experiences at Pergamon in the 2nd century CE. He was chronically ill and spent years seeking healing through dreams. His writings describe numerous dream encounters with Asclepius, who prescribed various treatments. Some of these treatments seem bizarre today, like being told to run barefoot in winter. But Aristides followed them faithfully, believing they came from the god himself. 3. Ancient Egyptian dream temples. The ancient Egyptians took dreams very seriously. They believed that the soul, which they called the Ba, could leave the body during sleep and travel to other realms. They represented the Ba as a bird with a human head, floating above the sleeping body. The Egyptians built special temples dedicated to dreaming. These were called sleep temples or dream temples. People who were sick or who needed guidance would travel to these temples to receive healing dreams. The practice was called incubation, which means to lie upon. The process was not simple. You could not just show up at the temple and go to sleep. First, you had to prepare. This meant fasting. This meant cleansing rituals. This meant prayers and offerings to the gods. Only after you had purified yourself were you allowed to enter the sacred sleeping chamber. The god most associated with healing dreams was Imhotep. He was originally a real person who served as chancellor and high priest around 2650 BCE after his death. He was worshipped as a god of medicine and wisdom. People would travel great distances to sleep in temples dedicated to him, hoping he would visit them in their dreams and cure their illnesses. The temple priests played an important role. They would help interpret the dreams that people received. They had special training in dream symbolism. They used dream books that listed common dream images and their meanings. One such dream book has survived and dates to around 1275 BCE, during the reign of Ramesses II. The Egyptians also believed that some dreams came from the gods, while others came from demons. Good dreams came from divine sources. Bad dreams came from dark spirits. The priests knew rituals to protect sleepers from nightmares and to encourage healing visions. This practice lasted for thousands of years in Egypt. It eventually influenced the Greeks, who built their own healing dream temples dedicated to the god Asclepius. The Egyptian dream book that survives in the British Museum gives us a window into how the Egyptians thought about dreams. It lists over 100 different dream scenarios, with their interpretations. Good dreams were written in black ink. Bad dreams were written in red ink. The interpretations often used wordplay. If a word in the dream sounded like another word, that connection was considered meaningful. The Egyptians believed strongly in the power of intention to shape dreams. Before sleeping in a temple, people would write the name of the god they wanted to contact on a piece of linen. They would burn this linen while reciting prayers. This ritual was designed to focus the mind and attract the attention of the deity. Some dreams were considered so important that they changed history. Pharaoh Thutmose IV claimed that the Sphinx appeared to him in a dream when he was just a prince. The Sphinx promised that if Thutmose cleared away the sand that was burying it, he would become king. Thutmose did as the dream instructed, and he did become king. He commemorated this event with a stone tablet placed between the paws of the Sphinx, where it can still be seen today. The god base was a protector against nightmares. Images of this dwarf god with his fierce expression were placed in bedrooms to scare away evil spirits. Pregnant women and children were especially protected by Base. His job was to ensure peaceful sleep and pleasant dreams. 4. Greek dream incubation at Asclepius temples. The ancient Greeks inherited the practice of dream incubation from Egypt and made it their own. They built healing sanctuaries called Asclepia throughout the Greek world. These temples were dedicated to Asclepius, the god of medicine and healing. The most famous of these temples was at Epidaurus. It was so important that it was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1988. But there were over 300 Asclepia scattered across the ancient Mediterranean. People traveled hundreds of miles to reach them. The process was elaborate. When you arrived at the temple, you first had to undergo purification. This meant bathing in sacred spring water. This meant fasting. This meant making sacrifices to the gods. You might spend days preparing before you were finally allowed to sleep in the abaton, the sacred sleeping chamber. The night of incubation was the climax of your visit. You would lie down on a special bed called a klein, from which we get the word clinic. You would set your intention to receive a healing dream from Asclepius. The temple had non-venomous snakes that would slither freely through the sleeping chambers. These snakes were sacred to Asclepius and were believed to whisper healing dreams into the ears of sleepers. If you were lucky, you would receive a divine dream. Sometimes Asclepius himself would appear and heal you directly in the dream. Sometimes he would give you instructions for treatment that you would follow after waking. Sometimes the dream would need interpretation by the temple priests. Stone tablets from Epidaurus record dozens of miraculous cures. People came with blindness, paralysis, chronic pain, and infertility. Many left claiming to be healed. The tablets describe these cures in detail, serving as both records and advertisements for the temple's power. The famous physician Hippocrates received his early training at an Asclepian on the island of Kos, Galen. Personal physician to the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, studied at the Asclepian in Pergamon. The connection between dream temples and the birth of Western medicine is clear. The philosopher Aristotle wrote about awareness in dreams around 350 BCE. He observed that when a person is asleep, there is something in consciousness that tells them what they are experiencing is just a dream. This is one of the earliest written descriptions of lucid dreaming in the Western tradition. The Greeks understood that not all dreams were the same. In Homer's Odyssey, dreams are said to pass through to gates. True dreams pass through the gate of horn. False dreams pass through the gate of ivory. Learning to tell the difference between meaningful dreams and meaningless dreams was an important skill. The practice of incubation was not limited to healing. People also sought dreams for guidance in business, politics, and personal matters. Before making an important decision, a person might travel to a temple and sleep there, hoping to receive divine advice about which choice to make. The Asclepion at Pergamon was one of the most elaborate. It had a large covered square with elegant columns, a theatre, a library, latrines, bathing facilities, and multiple fountains. The whole complex was designed to create an environment conducive to healing. Patients would spend days there, following a healthy regimen before their night of dream incubation. A man named Aelius Aristides left detailed records of his experiences at Pergamon in the 2nd century CE. He was chronically ill and spent years seeking healing through dreams. His writings describe numerous dream encounters with Asclepius, who prescribed various treatments. Some of these treatments seem bizarre today, like being told to run barefoot in winter. But Aristides followed them faithfully, believing they came from the god himself. 5. Aboriginal Australian Dreamtime Practices. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia have what may be the oldest continuous culture on Earth. They have lived on the Australian continent for at least 40,000 years, possibly as long as 65,000 years. Throughout this entire time, dreams have been at the center of their spiritual life. The English words dreamtime and dreaming are translations used by Europeans to describe Aboriginal concepts that do not translate easily. Different language groups have different words. The Arrernte people say Altaringa, the Warlpiri say Jukupa, the Pijunchetiara say Jukupa. These words mean something much bigger than just dreaming. The dreaming refers to the time when the ancestral beings created the world. But it is not just the past. It is also the present and the future. The dreaming is always happening. The ancestral spirits who created the land are still present in the rocks, the waterholes, the animals, and the plants. When Aboriginal people sleep and dream, they can access this eternal creative time. During ceremonies, Aboriginal people enter trance states that connect them with the dreaming. These trances involve singing, dancing, and sometimes body painting. The ceremonies are performed at sacred sites that were created by the ancestral beings. By performing the correct rituals at these sites, the people keep the creative energy of the dreaming alive. Individual dreams are also important. Aboriginal people traditionally discuss their dreams each morning. Dreams can reveal information about the future. Dreams can show the location of water or game animals. Dreams can carry messages from deceased ancestors or from the spirit world. The dreaming also explains how each person came to exist. Before conception, a person is said to exist as a dreaming being. When a woman becomes pregnant, the spirit enters the child. This spirit connects the person to a specific place and to specific ancestral beings. Your dreaming gives you your identity and your responsibilities. This is not lucid dreaming in the modern Western sense, but it is something perhaps even deeper. It is an entire culture built on the understanding that dreams connect us to the creative source of reality itself. 6. Native American vision quests. Throughout North America, indigenous peoples have used dreams and visions as a source of spiritual power and guidance. The vision quest is one of the most important practices in many Native American traditions. A vision quest is a rite of passage. A young person goes alone into the wilderness. They fast, they pray, they wait for a vision to come. This vision might happen while they are awake in a trance state, or it might come in a dream during sleep. Either way, the vision is considered a message from the spirit world. Among the Lakota people, the vision quest is called Hanbelsiopi, which means crying for a vision. The seeker goes to a sacred location, often a hilltop. They create a small space marked out on the ground. They stay within this space for up to 4 days and nights without food or water. They pray continuously, asking the spirits to take pity on them and send them a vision. The Ojibwe people start training children for vision quests when they are just 4 or 5 years old. At first, the children fast for just a day. As they grow older, the fasts get longer. Both boys and girls seek visions. When the vision comes, it often includes an animal spirit who becomes the person's guide and protector. These animal spirits are called tutelary spirits or guardian spirits. Each animal has specific powers and knowledge. A bear spirit might give healing power. An eagle spirit might give the ability to see far. The spirit gives the person a song that belongs to them alone. This song is their connection to the spirit world. Dreams continue to be important throughout life. Among many tribes, people share their dreams with elders who can help interpret them. Dreams can reveal the cause of illness. Dreams can show where enemies are located. Dreams can predict the outcome of hunts or battles. The dream world and the spirit world are the same place in many Native American traditions. What happens in dreams is just as real as what happens when you are awake. Some would say it is even more real. The Blackfoot people have a concept called Nitsitopi, which means the real people. Their understanding includes the idea that dreams give access to a layer of reality that is more fundamental than ordinary waking experience. The spirit beings met in dreams have power that can be transferred to the dreamer. Among the Crow people, dreams were so important that a man might not go to war unless he had received a favorable dream. Military leaders were expected to have received their strategies in dreams or visions. Success in battle was attributed to spiritual power obtained through dream experiences. The connection between dreams and creativity is also recognized. Songs, designs, ceremonies, and even new technologies might come to people in dreams. These dream-given creations are considered gifts from the spirit world. The dreamer has a responsibility to share these gifts with the community. Today, traditional dream practices continue in many Native American communities despite centuries of disruption. There is also ongoing tension about the sharing of these practices with outsiders. Some practices are considered sacred and not appropriate for people outside the community. Others have been shared with people interested in learning. The vision quest in particular has been adopted by some non-native people, sometimes in ways that native communities find inappropriate or disrespectful. This raises important questions about cultural appropriation and the ownership of spiritual practices. Dreams may be universal, but the specific ways that cultures work with dreams belong to those cultures. 7. Mesopotamian dream omens. The ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia, including the Sumerians, Babylonians, and Assyrians, left behind the oldest written records of dream interpretation. These records date back to at least 3100 BCE, making them over 5,000 years old. The Mesopotamians believed that dreams were messages from the gods. The sun god Shamash was particularly associated with dreams and divination, but other gods could send dreams too, so could demons. Part of the dream interpreter's job was figuring out which entity had sent the dream. They created detailed dream books that listed different dream scenarios and their meanings. The most famous collection is called the Ikazakik, sometimes known as the Assyrian Dream Book. This work consisted of at least 11 clay tablets filled with dream interpretations. The interpretations were very specific. If you dreamed of carrying beer in the street, your heart would be glad. If you dreamed of carrying water in the street, your sins would be forgiven. If you dreamed of looking heavenward, it was a bad omen. If you pressed your nose in a dream, it was good luck. The interpretations used several methods. Some were based on simple association. Beer is connected to happiness, so dreaming of beer means happiness. Some were based on wordplay. The word for press sounds like the word for abundance, so pressing something in a dream means abundance is coming. Dreams appear prominently in Mesopotamian literature. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, the hero has two dreams that foretell the arrival of his friend Enkidu. His mother interprets these dreams for him. Later, Enkidu himself has a dream showing the gods deciding that he must die. Kings paid special attention to dreams. King Gudea of Lagash rebuilt the temple of Ninjasu because a dream commanded him to do so. King Ashurbanipal reported that the goddess Ishtar appeared to him in a dream promising victory in battle. These divine dreams could determine the fate of empires. Professional dream interpreters called Baru were important figures in Mesopotamian society. They had the power to interpret dreams and to perform rituals that could counteract bad omens. If you had a nightmare, a baru could help protect you from its negative effects. The Mesopotamians also developed rituals to incubate dreams. If you wanted a dream from a specific god, you could perform offerings and prayers to attract that god's attention. You would prepare a clean sleeping area and follow specific procedures before sleep. The goal was to create conditions favorable for receiving a divine message. The Mesopotamian understanding of dreams influenced later cultures throughout the ancient Near East. The Hebrews, Persians, and eventually the Greeks and Romans all inherited aspects of Mesopotamian dream lore. When you read about dreams in the Bible, like Joseph interpreting Pharaoh's dreams, you are seeing practices that have their roots in Mesopotamian culture. Dreams were also connected to magic in Mesopotamia. There were spells to send dreams to other people. There were spells to protect yourself from bad dreams. There were spells to make someone dream about you. The dream world was not passive. It was a place where magical forces operated and could be directed by those who knew the proper techniques. 8. Islamic dream practices. In the Islamic tradition, dreams have been important since the very beginning. According to Islamic teaching, revelation first came to the Prophet Muhammad through dreams before he received the Quran. Dreams continued to play a role throughout his life and the lives of Muslims after him. Islamic tradition recognizes 3 types of dreams. The first type is called ruja, which means true dreams. These are messages from Allah. They are clear and meaningful. The Prophet Muhammad said that true dreams are one of the 46 parts of prophethood. The second type is called hulum. These are psychological dreams that come from your own mind. They reflect your thoughts, your worries, and your desires. They do not have spiritual significance. The third type comes from Shaitan, the devil. These are false dreams designed to mislead and disturb you. They often cause fear and anxiety. If you have one of these dreams, the Prophet taught that you should spit to your left and seek refuge in Allah. Ibn Sirin was the most famous Islamic dream interpreter. He lived from about 653 to 728 CE and wrote extensively on the interpretation of dreams. His work is still consulted today. He developed systematic methods for understanding dream symbols based on the Quran, the sayings of the Prophet, and principles of Islamic jurisprudence. The Sufi mystics took dream practice even further. For them, dreams were a doorway to the divine realms. Through dreams, a seeker could meet saints, receive teachings from spiritual masters, and even experience union with Allah. The great Sufi scholar Al-Ghazali reported that a dream conversation with God helped guide him toward the Sufi path. Some Sufis practiced a form of conscious dreaming that resembles modern lucid dreaming. The 12th century Sufi master Ibn Arabi wrote about the benefits of being aware within dreams. He saw this awareness as training for maintaining consciousness after death. The practice of istikhara is related to dream incubation. When a Muslim faces a difficult decision, they can pray a special prayer asking Allah for guidance. They then pay attention to their dreams, looking for signs that point toward the right choice. 9. Senoi dream practices of Malaysia. The Senoi people live in the highlands of Malaysia. They are one of the indigenous groups of the Malay Peninsula and have been there for thousands of years. In the 1930s, an American researcher named Kilton Stewart visited them and reported that they had developed remarkable dream practices. According to Stewart, the Senoi discussed their dreams every morning at breakfast. The whole family participated. Children learned from an early age to remember their dreams and to talk about them. This daily practice made dreams a central part of Senoi culture. Stewart said the Senoi taught specific principles for working with dreams. If you have a falling dream, you should not fight it. You should relax and enjoy the fall. The falling will take you to the source of spiritual power. If you meet an enemy in a dream, you should confront them. You should fight if necessary. You should never run away. If you are attacked in a dream, you should call upon dream friends for help. If you defeat an enemy, you should make them give you a gift. This gift might be a song, a poem, or useful knowledge. If you dream about someone you know, you should tell that person about the dream. If you mistreated someone in a dream, you should make it right in waking life. Stewart claimed that because of these practices, the Senoi had almost no mental illness, no violence, and no interpersonal conflict. He portrayed their society as a dream utopia. Later researchers have questioned Stewart's account. When anthropologists visited the Senoi in the 1980s, they could not find evidence of the elaborate dream culture Stewart described. Some believe Stewart exaggerated or even invented aspects of Senoi dream practice. Others think the traditional practices were disrupted by World War II and the changes that followed. But even if Stewart romanticized what he saw, the basic idea had enormous influence. In the 1960s and 1970s, his writings became popular in the human potential movement. The idea of confronting dream enemies and demanding gifts from them has been adopted by many modern dream workers. The Senoi, or at least Stewart's version of them, helped shape contemporary Western approaches to dream work. 10 Siberian Shamanic Dream Journeys. The word shaman comes from the Tungus, peoples of Siberia. It refers to a person who can enter trance states and travel to the spirit world. Shamanism is one of the oldest spiritual practices on earth. It may be 20,000 to 30,000 years old. For Siberian shamans, there is no clear line between dreaming and shamanic journeying. Both involve the soul leaving the body and traveling to other realms. A shaman might enter the spirit world through a deliberate trance induced by drumming, or they might travel during sleep. Either way, what happens is real. The Siberian universe has 3 levels. There is the upper world, where the sky spirits live. There is the middle world, which is our ordinary reality. There is the lower world, which is home to ancestors and underworld beings. The shaman can travel to any of these realms. The shaman's journey often begins with a vision of climbing a tree or a ladder, flying through the sky, or descending into the earth. Once in the spirit world, the shaman meets various beings. These might be animal spirits, ancestral spirits, or gods. The shaman negotiates with them, bargains with them, or battles them. The purpose of these journeys varies. A shaman might journey to find the cause of someone's illness. They might journey to retrieve a lost soul. They might journey to guide the spirit of a dead person to the land of the dead. They might journey to ask the spirits for good hunting or good weather. Dreams play a role in becoming a shaman. Among many Siberian peoples, a person does not choose to become a shaman. They are chosen by the spirits. This calling often comes through dreams. The future shaman might dream of being dismembered by spirits, of dying and being reborn, of receiving magical objects or abilities. The trance states that shamans enter are similar to lucid dreaming in some ways. The shaman is aware of what is happening. They can make choices. They can interact with the beings they meet, but they also believe they are genuinely traveling to other dimensions of reality, not just exploring their own minds. 11. Mongolian shamanic traditions. Mongolia is one of the places where traditional shamanism has survived into the modern era. The practices there are related to the Siberian traditions, but have their own distinctive character. Today, there is a revival of shamanism in Mongolia, with shamanic organizations gaining members and practicing openly. Mongolian shamanism is sometimes called Tengerism, from the word Tenger meaning sky or heaven. The Mongols worship many spirits, including the 99 deities, nature spirits, and ancestral spirits. The shaman is the person who can communicate with all of these beings. When a Mongolian shaman performs a ritual, they enter a trance called an on-god oro. During this trance, a spirit enters the shaman's body. The shaman's personality temporarily disappears. The spirit speaks through them, moves through them, acts through them. Family members and clients can then ask the spirit questions or request its help. These trances are induced through drumming, chanting, and often by wearing elaborate ritual costumes. The costume helps transform the shaman into a vessel for the spirits. It might include a headdress with antlers or horns, a robe decorated with symbols, and various metal implements that make sounds when the shaman moves. Dreams are important for several purposes. Dreams can reveal whether a person is meant to become a shaman. Dreams can provide guidance for important decisions. Dreams can allow communication with deceased ancestors. After performing a ritual, a shaman might sleep and dream to receive additional information or confirmation. The relationship between trance, journeying, and sleeping dreams is fluid. A shaman might receive a message from a spirit while in ritual trance, and then that same spirit might visit them in a dream that night. The boundaries between states of consciousness are permeable. What matters is the reality of the spirit world and the information that comes from it. 12. Ancient Chinese Zhou dream interpretation. The Chinese have been interpreting dreams for over 3,000 years. The most famous figure in Chinese dream interpretation is Zhou Gong, the Duke of Zhou, who lived in the 11th century BCE. He was a real historical figure who helped establish the Zhou dynasty. After his death, he became associated with wisdom and particularly with understanding dreams. The Chinese expression dreaming of Zhou Gong means going to sleep. The idea is that when you sleep, you might meet Zhou Gong and receive his wisdom. This shows how deeply the Duke's association with dreams has penetrated Chinese culture. The Zhou Gong Dream Dictionary is attributed to him, though it was probably compiled much later. This text categorizes dreams into different types and offers interpretations for hundreds of dream scenarios. The categories include gods and spirits, living things, astronomy, the body, home and surroundings, music, clothing, and miscellaneous. The interpretations often follow patterns that might seem strange to Western readers. Dreaming of encountering your dead ancestors is good. It means your family is blessed and protected. Dreaming of losing blood is also good. It means good fortune is coming. But dreaming of seeing your own face in a mirror is bad luck. Chinese dream interpretation draws on principles of traditional Chinese philosophy. The concept of yin and yang is important. Dreams reflect the balance or imbalance of these forces within you. If your yang is too strong, you might have dreams of fire or aggression. If your yin is too strong, you might have dreams of water or passivity. Taoism also influenced Chinese dream thought. The Taoist sage Changzu famously dreamed he was a butterfly. When he woke up, he wondered whether he was a man who had dreamed of being a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming of being a man. This philosophical puzzle suggests that waking and dreaming are not as different as we assume. The I Ching, the ancient Chinese book of divination, is sometimes connected to Zhou Gong as well. Some traditions say he helped write it. People have used the I Ching to interpret dreams by seeing the dream symbols as corresponding to the hexagrams of the oracle. 13. Japanese Yumewa's dream matching in ancient Japan. Dreams were considered important messages that needed to be carefully interpreted. The practice of Yumewa's, or dream matching, was particularly interesting. In this practice, people would compare their dreams to find shared elements or patterns. Japanese literature from the Heian period, roughly 794 to 1185 CE, contains many references to dreams and their interpretation. The tale of Genji, often called the world's first novel, includes numerous episodes involving significant dreams. Characters discuss their dreams, consult interpreters, and make major decisions based on what they dream. Dreams were seen as omens of the future. A positive dream predicted good fortune. A negative dream warned of danger. But there were ways to change your fate. One practice was to tell your bad dream to someone else first thing in the morning. By speaking the dream aloud, you could transfer its negative energy away from yourself. Dream interpreters, called onmyoji, were important figures in Japanese court life. These practitioners combined dream interpretation with astrology, divination, and spiritual practices. They advised emperors and nobles on the meaning of their dreams and recommended rituals to counteract bad omens. The concept of the Baku is related to dream practices. The Baku is a supernatural creature that eats nightmares. If you have a bad dream, you can call on the Baku to consume it. This belief shows the desire to have some control over the dream world, to be able to protect yourself from its negative aspects. Zen Buddhism, which came to Japan from China, also influenced how the Japanese thought about dreams. Zen masters sometimes used dreams as teaching tools. A student might report a dream to their master and receive guidance based on it. But Zen also taught that ultimately, waking and dreaming are both equally empty of permanent reality. 14. Celtic dream practices. The Celtic peoples of ancient Britain, Ireland, and parts of Europe had rich traditions involving dreams and visions. Unfortunately, much of this knowledge was lost because the Celts did not write down their spiritual teachings. What we know comes from later Christian writings and from archaeological evidence. The Druids were the priestly class of Celtic society. They underwent training that lasted up to 20 years. Part of this training likely involved dream practices. The Druids were known for their abilities in divination and prophecy, and dreams would have been an important source of prophetic knowledge. The practice of Tarbfes, or bull feast, is recorded in Irish sources. In this ritual, a man would eat the flesh of a sacrificed bull and drink its blood. He would then sleep wrapped in the bull's hide while druids sang over him. While sleeping, he would receive a vision of who should be the next king. The word ashling in Irish means both dream and vision. Ashling poetry became an important literary form in which Ireland appeared to the poet as a beautiful woman in a dream. This shows how the poetic and prophetic functions of dreaming remained important in Irish culture even after Christianity. Sacred sites like Newgrange in Ireland may have been used for dream incubation. Newgrange is a massive tomb older than the pyramids of Egypt. Once a year, at the winter solstice, sunlight penetrates the entrance passage and illuminates the inner chamber. It is possible that people slept in such places to receive visions from ancestors or gods. The thin places of Celtic spirituality might also be related to dreaming. These are locations where the boundary between the ordinary world and the other world is especially permeable. Standing stones, holy wells, and ancient burial mounds are often considered thin places. Sleeping at such locations might allow easier passage into the realm of spirits and dreams. The festival of Samhain, which later became Halloween, was a time when the boundary between worlds was particularly thin. The spirits of the dead could return. The living could more easily contact the other world. Dreams had special significance during this period. What you dreamed during Samhain might tell you about the year to come. The Celtic tradition of second sight. the ability to see things that others cannot see, is related to dreaming. People with second sight might receive visions while awake that resembled dream experiences. The ability often ran in families and was sometimes associated with certain locations or circumstances. Irish monks who converted to Christianity continued to value dreams. Many saints in the Celtic Christian tradition received important guidance through dreams. The distinction between pagan and Christian dream practices was often blurry. The same basic belief in the significance of dreams continued, just with different theological explanations. 15. African dream traditions. Africa is a vast continent with thousands of different ethnic groups and languages. There is no single African dream tradition. Instead, there are many traditions, each with its own understanding of dreams and their significance. In many African cultures, dreams are seen as communications from ancestors. The ancestors continue to exist after death and take an active interest in the lives of their descendants. They might visit you in dreams to offer advice, to warn you of danger, or to request offerings. Among the Zulu people of South Africa, dreams are considered an important way that the ancestors Amadozi communicate with the living. A person who has troubling dreams might consult a diviner to understand what the ancestors are trying to say. The diviner might recommend specific rituals to address the ancestors' concerns. Dream interpretation is often tied to divination practices. In many West African cultures, there are systems of divination, like Ifa, among the Yoruba people. These systems provide frameworks for understanding the meaning of dreams alongside other forms of prophecy and guidance. Some African healers receive their calling through dreams. A spirit might appear in dreams and instruct the person to become a healer. The dreams might continue throughout the training process, with the spirit providing knowledge about herbs, rituals, and cures. The Sangoma tradition of Southern Africa is particularly associated with dreaming. Sangomas are traditional healers who are called by the ancestors through illness and dreams. During their training, they learn to interpret dreams and to receive guidance from the spirit world. Dreams can also be seen as soul travel. When you sleep, your soul might journey to other places, meet other beings, and have experiences that affect you when you wake. This understanding is found in many African cultures and resembles shamanic beliefs found in other parts of the world. In some African traditions, there are specific types of dreamers who have special abilities. These individuals can receive information about the community through their dreams. They might dream about coming rains, approaching visitors, or hidden dangers. Their dreams serve a social function, benefiting not just themselves, but everyone around them. The relationship between dreams and healing is particularly strong in African traditions. Many illnesses are believed to have spiritual causes that can be revealed in dreams. A healer might ask about a sick person's dreams to understand what is wrong. The cure might also be revealed in a dream, either to the healer or to the patient. Dreams are used for divination in complex ways. Among some peoples, The diviner will sleep and dream before giving a consultation. The dream provides information about the client's situation that could not be obtained any other way. In other cases, the client's dreams are examined as part of the divination process. The importance of dreams in African cultures has continued despite the influence of Christianity and Islam. Many people hold both traditional beliefs about dreams and religious beliefs at the same time. Dreams remain an important way that the spiritual world communicates with the living. 16. South American Amazonian dream practices. The indigenous peoples of the Amazon rainforest have sophisticated traditions involving dreams and altered states of consciousness. For many Amazonian groups, the dream world is just as real as the waking world. It is where important spiritual work happens. Among the Achuar people of Ecuador, dreams are shared and discussed every morning before dawn. The entire household wakes up early and gathers to talk about their dreams. The father interprets the dreams and decides what actions should be taken based on them. A dream of good hunting means you go hunting that day. A dream of danger means you stay home. The use of ayahuasca, a powerful plant medicine, is connected to dreaming in Amazonian cultures. Ayahuasca is sometimes called the vine of dreams or the vine of the dead. The visions that people experience on ayahuasca are understood as a kind of waking dream where the spirit world becomes visible. Among the Anisha people of Peru, dreams are classified into several types. There are ordinary dreams that come from daily life. There are significant dreams that contain messages. And there are soul flight experiences where the dreamer travels to other worlds. Only certain individuals, particularly those training to become shamans, have frequent experiences of soul flight. Many Amazonian peoples believe that master plant spirits can teach humans through dreams. If you follow a special diet and take certain plants, the spirits of those plants will visit you in dreams and teach you their secrets. This is how traditional healers learn about medicinal plants and their uses. The boundary between dreaming and waking is often blurred in Amazonian thought. Events and dreams can have real consequences in the waking world. If someone harms you in a dream, you might become ill in waking life. If you make an agreement with a spirit in a dream, you are expected to fulfill it. The shaman's role is particularly important. Shamans are specialists in the dream world. They can travel more freely than ordinary people. They can communicate more directly with spirits. They can retrieve lost souls and cure illnesses that originate in the dream world. Their extensive training includes learning to dream deliberately and to remember what happens in their dreams. Some Amazonian groups use specific plants to enhance dreaming. These dream herbs are believed to make dreams more vivid and easier to remember. They might also help the dreamer receive messages from plant spirits or travel to other realms. The use of these plants is usually guided by experienced elders who know the proper protocols. Children are taught about dreams from an early age. They learn that dreams are important. They learn to pay attention to them. They learn the basic principles of dream interpretation used by their culture. By the time they are adults, working with dreams is a natural part of life, not something strange or unusual. The arrival of missionaries and modern education has affected these practices in many communities. But in more isolated areas, traditional dream practices continue. There is also a revival of interest as some communities seek to preserve and revitalize their ancestral knowledge. 17. Hawaiian Ho'oponopono and dream work. The Hawaiian spiritual tradition includes specific practices related to dreams. Ho'oponopono is a traditional Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness. It is related to dreaming because the Hawaiians believed that unresolved conflicts could manifest as negative dreams. The Hawaiian concept of eka refers to the subtle threads that connect all things. When you dream of someone, you are connecting with them through these eka threads. Your dreams can affect other people, and their dreams can affect you. This understanding makes dream work a form of relationship work. The Hawaiian healing tradition includes practices for dealing with nightmares. If you have a recurring bad dream, there are rituals to transform it. The dream is not seen as random. It is sending you a message about something that needs to be healed in your life or in your relationships. Dreams can also be a source of guidance. The Hawaiian concept of mana refers to spiritual power or energy. A person with strong mana might receive important dreams more frequently. These dreams can guide personal decisions and provide insight into problems that seem unsolvable in waking life. The Almakua, or ancestral spirits, can communicate through dreams. The Almakua might appear in animal form, such as a shark or an owl. If you dream of your family's Almakua, it is an important message that requires attention. The ancestors are watching over you and trying to help. Hawaiian culture also recognized that skilled dreamers could travel in their dreams. These travelers could visit other places, gather information, and bring back knowledge. This ability was respected and sometimes employed for practical purposes like locating lost objects or gathering news from distant islands. 18. Iroquois dream practices. The Iroquois Confederacy, consisting of the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and later Tuscarora nations, had some of the most detailed and documented dream practices in North America. The Iroquois believed that dreams revealed the secret wishes of the soul. If these wishes were not fulfilled, the person could become ill. Dreams were not just entertainment or random noise. They were expressions of genuine needs that had to be addressed. During the midwinter ceremony, one of the most important Iroquois festivals, dream guessing played a central role. People would act out their dreams or present riddles about them. Others would try to guess the dream and its meaning. If the dream was guessed correctly and the wish fulfilled, it brought healing and satisfaction. Some dreams required dramatic action. If someone dreamed of fighting, a mock battle might be staged. If someone dreamed of receiving a particular gift, the community would try to provide it. The community took collective responsibility for helping individuals fulfill their dream-revealed needs. The false face society is connected to dreaming. Members of this healing society wear carved wooden masks that represent beings encountered in dreams or visions. The masks have power because of their connection to the spirit world. Society members perform healing rituals while wearing the masks. The Iroquois also recognized that dreams could predict the future or reveal hidden information. Important decisions might be delayed until people could receive dream guidance. Political leaders and war chiefs were expected to pay attention to their dreams and act accordingly. This deep respect for dreams impressed early European observers. Jesuit missionaries in the 17th century wrote detailed accounts of Iroquois dream practices, though often with disapproval. These accounts remain valuable records of how seriously the Iroquois took the dream world. 19. Persian and Zoroastrian dream traditions. The ancient Persians and followers of Zoroastrianism had their own traditions of dream interpretation. The Zoroastrian religion, founded by the prophet Zarathustra over 3,000 years ago, includes teachings about dreams and their significance. In Zoroastrian belief, there are two types of beings that can send dreams. Ahura Mazda, the wise lord and highest god, sends true dreams that provide guidance and prophecy. But Angra Mainyu, the evil spirit, sends false dreams meant to deceive. Discerning which type of dream you have received is an important skill. The Avesta, the sacred texts of Zoroastrianism, contains references to dreams. Dreams are mentioned as one way that divine truth can be revealed to humans. The ability to correctly interpret dreams was considered a spiritual gift. Persian culture more broadly valued dream interpretation. Kings and nobles employed dream interpreters who would analyze significant dreams and advise on their meaning. The famous story of Cyrus the Great includes a prophetic dream that foretold his rise to power. Later, Persian literature, particularly Sufi poetry, is filled with references to dreams. Poets like Rumi and Hafez used dream imagery to explore mystical themes. The dream became a metaphor for the illusory nature of worldly life and the possibility of awakening to a higher reality. Dream incubation was also practiced. A person seeking guidance might fast and pray before sleep, asking for a divine dream. They might sleep at a sacred site or perform specific rituals. The hope was to receive a clear vision that would resolve their uncertainty. The Persian tradition influenced Islamic dream practices after the Arab conquest of Persia. Many of the methods of dream interpretation used in the Islamic world show Persian influence. The Persians had already developed sophisticated systems for understanding dreams that were adopted and adapted by Muslim scholars. 20. Nordic and Viking dream practices. The Vikings and other Nordic peoples had strong beliefs about dreams and their power. The Old Norse sagas are filled with prophetic dreams that foretell the future. These dreams were taken seriously and could influence major decisions. The Norse believed in a three-part soul. One part was called the hammer, which could take the form of an animal and travel during sleep. Skilled individuals could send their hammer to spy on enemies, visit distant places, or perform magical tasks. This was called sitting out, or uticit. The vulva was a type of Norse seeress who could enter trance states and receive visions. While not specifically about sleeping dreams, the vulva's practices show how the Norse valued altered states of consciousness as sources of knowledge. The vulva appears in the Eddas performing divination rituals. Dreams in the sagas often serve as warnings. A character might dream of their own death before battle. They might dream of a loved one in danger. They might dream of events that have not yet happened. Those who ignore these dream warnings usually regret it. The concept of the fylgja is related to dreaming. The fylgja is a personal spirit, often appearing as an animal that accompanies each person. You might see your fylgja in dreams. If you see another person's fylgja, it might mean they are thinking of you or traveling toward you in spirit. Sleep itself was a time of vulnerability in Norse belief. While your soul was traveling, your body was unprotected. There were practices to protect sleepers from spiritual harm, but there were also those who might send harmful magic against you while you slept. The Norse god Odin was associated with wisdom and magic, including knowledge gained through altered states. Odin hung on the world tree for 9 nights to gain the secrets of the runes. While this was not exactly dreaming, it shows the value placed on visionary experiences that transcend ordinary consciousness. We have traveled through 20 different cultures and thousands of years of human history. What have we learned? First, dreams matter. Every culture we looked at took dreams seriously. They were not dismissed as random brain activity. They were treated as messages, as journeys, as doorways to other dimensions of reality. The idea that dreams are meaningless is actually quite recent. For most of human history, people believed that dreams were one of the most important experiences a person could have. Second, people have always tried to become conscious in their dreams. Whether we call it lucid dreaming, dream yoga, shamanic journeying, or something else, the desire to wake up within the dream is ancient and universal. This is not a modern invention. Our ancestors discovered these techniques through thousands of years of experimentation and passed them down through countless generations. Third, dreams connect us to something bigger. In different cultures, that something might be called ancestors, spirits, gods, or the unconscious mind. The names differ, but the experience is similar. Dreams put us in touch with wisdom that we cannot access through ordinary thinking. They give us information that seems to come from beyond our individual selves. Fourth, dream practices often involve preparation. You cannot just demand a meaningful dream. The Greek pilgrims fasted and purified themselves. The Tibetan yogis trained for years. The Native American vision seekers endured hardship and isolation. Significant dreams come to those who prepare for them. This preparation might be physical, like fasting. It might be mental, like setting a clear intention. It might be spiritual, like prayer or ritual. But some kind of preparation seems to help. Fifth, community matters. Many of these traditions involve sharing dreams with others. The Aboriginal Australians discussed dreams every morning. The Senoi talked about them at breakfast. The Iroquois acted them out in festivals. Dreams were not just private experiences. They were shared and worked with collectively. The community helped interpret dreams, helped fulfill dream-revealed wishes, and held individuals accountable for what they learned in their dreams. Sixth, dreams and waking life are connected. What happens in dreams can affect what happens when you wake up. A dream might reveal the cause of an illness. A dream might warn of danger. A dream might show you something about yourself that you need to change. The ancient cultures understood that ignoring your dreams meant ignoring important information about your life. Seventh, anyone can learn to work with dreams. Some people had more natural talent. Some people received special training. But dream practices were generally available to everyone. You did not need to be a priest or a shaman to pay attention to your dreams and try to understand them. The practices might look different for ordinary people than for specialists, but the basic ability to remember dreams, to think about them, and even to become aware within them is part of being human. What can we take from all this? Maybe it is time to pay more attention to our dreams. Maybe it is time to prepare for sleep more carefully. Maybe it is time to talk about our dreams with others. Maybe it is time to ask what our dreams are trying to tell us. Our ancestors understood something that modern society has largely forgotten. The night is not just for rest. It is for exploration, for healing, for growth. Every night we have the opportunity to enter other worlds. Every night we have the chance to wake up. The question is whether we will take that chance. The tools are still available. You can set an intention before sleep. You can ask yourself whether you are dreaming throughout the day. You can keep a dream journal. You can share your dreams with people you trust. You can try some of the ancient techniques adapted for modern use. The doorway to the dream world is right there, waiting. It opens every time you close your eyes and fall asleep. What will you do with this night? Thank you for watching. Remember to comment below where you are from and what time it is. I would love to see this piece reaching people across different time zones around the world. If you found this valuable, share it with someone who is interested in dreams. Let's bring back some of the ancient wisdom that our ancestors knew. Sweet dreams.